Hello, everybody, and welcome back to more Shuffle Up. I'm Havoc, and with me today I have my teammates Plox
Yo, what's up?
and Nova.
Hey guys.
All right, we hope everybody is staying safe and healthy out there. For today, we are going over the current metagame and as it is still shaping post patch balance patch 1.2, and what we can expect in the future. Riot also released a small video with a bunch of information on the future of the game, and so we will be sharing our thoughts and opinions on that as well. First, I'd like to once again thank everyone who is tuning in with us. We all appreciate the support, and if you're interested and want to follow us on social media, we'll leave some links in the description below. Before we begin, I'd like to take a small 10-second silence right now to show respect for George Floyd, who lost his life over the past week, and for those who are fighting the social injustice right now in Minneapolis. This isn't a political podcast by any means necessary, but our hearts are with those who choose to fight. So let's go ahead and silence ourselves for 10 seconds. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to our first topic. Let's talk about the metagame currently. Okay. Now, first, I would like to say I think Bannerman has stayed incredibly consistent throughout all of this. I think that's the one deck we can all agree on
Fuck.
that has stayed super consistent post 1.2. Um, we do have some new decks on the block. We do have Fizz, Sejuani Vlad, Lux Mage Seekers. And we have seen also a little bit of rise of popularity in Noxus. But I like to talk a little bit about the new decks because obviously there's a lot of new decks. I think the meta's kind of flipped itself a little bit post 1.2. So what are some of the decks you guys have seen out there? I've seen some Fizz. I've seen Sejuani Vlad, Lux Mage Seekers. What are some of the decks you may have seen?
When you say fizz, do you mean like that the fizz OTK?
Yeah, like there's
Like
I've
with
seen
the-
Yeah,
I've
he's
seen
talking
Swim,
about the only fizz.
the Fizz 34 spell deck is I've seen a lot of that actually on
Yeah,
ladder.
I'm just curious why that's popping up now. Did something in the deck get changed? Because I feel like that
No,
could have
no.
been
So nothing in the deck got changed. Just Swim thought of making it. Swim was like, you know what? Let me just be fucking cancer.
It's good though. Like it's still
Yeah, it's
strong
solid.
and
It's solid.
I like Fizz. I mean, when you have a bunch of burst spells, like it's you know what I'm saying? Like Fizz just doesn't get targeted by anything. And
yeah.
I
If you
think
get
that's
him, yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you get him to the point where he can get the Battle Fury put on him, it's game over from there. Because
Yeah.
+8 +4 on fizz is crazy.
It's strong and it's I mean for a one drop champion, it's a lot of value. It's a lot of value and
It's
it's
a
just
lot of value if you get it in. So I think a lot of the decks that play fizz, they play a lot of like low irrelevant things just to keep him alive.
they do. I've seen the deck. I mean, I know the list plays like 2 warning shot, not really for plunder effects
Yeah,
necessarily, but
literally
more or
just
less
to
just
keep it
like,
alive.
oh, you know what? I tap myself out. I kill, or and you have a way to kill me now. I can
And he
it,
synergizes really well with Freljord too, getting
that
the low
too.
cost like
It's
Freljord
him and
card.
Starlet Seer. I mean, the
Yeah,
Starlet Seer is really what makes. I think Starlet Seer is the problem card in that deck.
hundred
You know, Fizz
percent.
is Fizz is really good on its own for sure. But Starless Seer is what makes that thing so broken because then when you have, if you're able to draw, you know, I've seen people draw 5, 6 Starlet Seers. I think the biggest Starlet Seer I saw was like a 10, 11. It was stupid, and
Yeah,
at
that's
that
crazy.
point it's too hard to deal with. And Starlet Seer I feel is the card you have to deal with super quickly and keep those fizzes small and 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 then get a nice big wide board to kind of pressure them. If you're not able to stabilize your board state otherwise, it's too hard. It's
Yeah. See,
way too
well,
hard to come
speaking
over.
of Starlight Seer, though, she has been coming up in that Timo Sejuani. You guys played against that deck?
I haven't played against that. I've played the Sejuani versions I've played against has been Sejuani Vlad and the Sejuani Swain. I mean I see more meta decks on the ladder, but I have heard a lot of people are putting Sejuani with a lot of different things too. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised about Sejuani Timo.
No, but
I played that
they
multiple
play it.
times.
It's very good because the constant ping. Once you get Sejuani out, and you just get a random like one little peck because your Timo, boom.
Actually, actually, I think earlier today I might have come across it. I played a lot of games today, to be honest, so I don't remember everything that I played against. But I think that happened, and I saw Timo, and I was like, "Oh, I'm playing against Timo Burn,"
No.
and then he dropped the Sejuani, and I was like, "Okay, this is kind of weird." and I drew a card. He played that card that lets both players draw a card. I drew a card, and he frostbit my whole board, and I was like, wow, I did not know that was a thing. So
It's
actually, I do recall now. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that is definitely a
It's
deck.
it's strong. I
I've been
mean,
wanting to build that for a long time, actually. The first time I read Timo, when I was just trying to find a champion to go with him, I saw Sejuani's effect and was like, oh, that's perfect.
it's good consistency. It has good compatibility with each other. I like it. Anything that can consistently ping the Nexus is obviously going to go really well with Sejuani when she levels.
Yeah. I
I
also go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No. Go.
Oh, I really like the Lux Mage Seeker decks. That's what I was gonna go into because I saw two different variants and both of them stood out to me as very very good in their own right. The Lux Mage Seekers, that Hawktie build with the Shadow Isle splash, and then the one that the Aussie build. Congratulations on winning your tournament this past weekend. He won with a PNZ splash, and for a heavy Demacia deck, I think both splashes like they just kind of they really stuck out to me. But I'm also like I really like Lux right now, so anything with Lux kind of just sticks out to me.
Was it the Lux Vi Mage Seekers?
It was Lux Vi Mage Seekers, yes.
Yeah, I like that build a lot. I really like the Mage Seekers. Obviously, it's one of my favorite mechanics in the game. I think it's really cool to have the. It's nice to have the followers that are kind of low cost or they're high cost for their value, and so you play the 6+ spells because it that's counteractive against the plunders. People steal my Mage Seeker, and I'm like, you can have it because then you're gonna drop it, not get the effect off, and pretty much spend so much mana just to get it. So I like it. I like it for a lot of reasons, but that's one of my favorite. It's because it's kind of anti-plunder.
Yeah, that's for sure. I do think that because like the Shadow Isles version, it's more like a spooky Lux in my opinion because it uses Rekindler and Thresh, and it uses that whole package, and that's a little bit more susceptible to plunder stuff because when they lose their champions and they're able to rip your Rekindlers off, when they're able to rip your, some of your Shadow Isles cards off. I think some lists play the Ruination, some lists play really good like Vengeance and stuff, and it's harder to come against to fight back against those versus the stuff that PNZ has.
Facts.
So go ahead, Justin. I interrupted what you were saying earlier.
Oh no, I was just I was gonna talk about the Lux Barrier and like the not the Lux
Shen
Barrier,
what?
the Shen Fiora.
Shen Fiora has
Shen
also
Fiora.
become
Yeah,
really
well
good.
I did see Shen Lux as well, but I like the Shen Fiora.
I mean, we discussed last week how we wanted Shen to get buffed. He
Yeah,
got buffed,
the buff helps.
and it was exactly what we wanted for him. You know what I'm saying? It gave him a better utility that made his attacks more damaging, and I think that's really good. It's a better trade off for him.
Yeah,
So
I honestly didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal until you actually start playing it and you're doing all the curve outs that you have in regular Demacia. Like War Chefs helps him a lot. Just having Barrier helps him. Like that 3 damage, you just have all that board control of like Bannerman, but just with alternate win conditions. It feels so nice.
it's really really good. I also like it because it plays. I like how Shen also plays the that 9-drop follower that gives the board barrier or gives does it give the board barriers or give 3 things?
Yeah,
The board.
everything.
It's the board. Yeah, I think that's I love that card. That card's really really good. So yeah, I do like that. We've seen a lot of decks kind of like jump around. Recently, obviously, like we did expect PNZ Burn to kind of fall wayside. I know they're kind of splashing Teemo in now because Teemo does kind of give that nice little passive burn for them. But I think the other thing that kind of I don't know. I feel like it's staying under the radar, but it's still super super deadly. Are those Kleptomancy decks? I see them everywhere, and I don't know if it's just the infatuation with stealing your opponent's cards or just the pure strength of them, but they're really good, and I only see them getting infinitely better post patch 1.2.
Yep, and I think Josh, you're the perfect person to talk about them.
Why? Because I play him.
Well,
Yeah,
you just have such a strong opinion on the Kleptomancy.
you
Well,
do.
I think it's good. I think it's healthy for the game. I think it's a cool mechanic.
But do you think it's good? Do you think it's good because of the sheer value or the sheer just I don't know, like what? I think it's mostly just the
I-
sheer value, in my opinion, because drawing 2 for 2 is retarded. Getting
yeah,
getting the win conditions out of your opponent's deck is annoying. Like there's a lot of annoyance to it.
it's mostly annoyance. I don't think it's necessarily consistently good. It can be good. It can be really good. It can also be just kind of decent. It's never bad, so that's always the good thing. It's pretty consistently decent at least. But it's nice to draw 2 cards, and if you happen to have the merchant on the board as well, then it just becomes free. Everything from that point is like too good. So they might have to rework something with the merchant, maybe making it so that he doesn't reduce the cost, or I don't know. But I don't think it's too broken because it's not taking over the ladders anywhere. I think it's pretty healthy. People are annoyed by it mostly because they lose their stuff, but that's just part of the game. I think it's a creative, nifty mechanic.
I can agree with that. I mean, it's 100% an annoyance factor in my opinion too, from everything that I've seen. And I've learned definitely from losing to those decks how to kind of play around them, and but at the same time too, I do think there needs to be at least some better indication to those decks. Only not necessarily do anything to necessarily nerf it. Maybe they could fix the mechanic. Like I think we remember we were discussing last week how we maybe picking that on the bottom of the deck versus the top, because against things like Freljord, obviously, then it becomes super overpowered because it makes things like Omen Hawk just punishing for your opponent to play. It makes things like Hearthguard to really punishing. Um, but I feel like if, for me, I think in the card game, knowledge is power. And for that, I would like to see Kleptomancy just kind of get fixed to where they could at least show us the cards that get drawn, keep everything the same other than that. But the deck is still strong, and I think you're right. I don't think there's ever a time when it's really bad, except for maybe the decks that are like 100% like sold on that mechanic, because then at that point you're just having to hope that your opponent you draw the broken cards off your opponent's deck. Because I've definitely played decks like that on pubs, and I've had times where I've just draw nothing, and I draw nothing off my opponent's deck, and then my hand just stays like uneventful these uneventful no bodies, no nothing. So
Yeah,
I've had
Fizz TF build where I've had that hand a lot, where I'm just like, all right, I don't have anything impressive. I don't really have any late game. I was really just hoping
there's
to steal your
nothing.
stuff.
I'm just hoping to exactly, and that's where I feel like those specific decks. I feel like that's just pure luck at that point. Like you're just basing your win rates off
And
luck.
that's what I don't like about it. Like I don't like having that in the game where you're playing a deck that is just a dice roll. Like it feels like that sometimes. More
It
often than
does for
not, it's a
sure.
dice roll. If you get the good stuff, you get the good stuff. If not, if you get my 1-drops turn 10, like whatever.
Yeah,
But
for
Right,
sure.
that's why it's not that good. So don't run a whole deck of it. Like put in the
okay,
merchant and
but
the pilfer
all
good.
I'm saying,
I'm talking about.
Pilfer Goods mana cost is too low, and it should be taken from the bottom, 100%.
Yeah.
It's either show me what's in hand off the pilfered or up pilfered to 3 cost, because it's too broken at 2, and just make sure it always comes from the bottom just to buff for Freljord. Like we're here for Freljord. That
Yeah,
should be fixed
Freljordians unite.
regardless. Yeah, that should be fixed regardless. That's just stupid
I
that
will
it's
unite
not.
the Freljord.
I think I'll concede to the bottom draw, and that's it. I think that's all that should happen.
No, I understand. I get it, and whatever change they make, like I said, it's on the watch list. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're paying attention to everything. So I can't. We'll see what happens. Right now, it isn't taking over the meta right now, but you know, we don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? We're only like 2 sets in. It's only been the original stuff and then Bilgewater. So as sets come out, maybe they'll fix it and they'll adjust mechanics. But we'll see. And there may be new mechanics that come out too with these new sets and these new regions, that may make Kleptomancy just kind of unplayable at a certain point. So who knows? But
No, I just feel like the mechanics should be fixed. That's
yeah,
just a
it's
stealing mechanic. Plunder, I love plunder. I love that mechanic specifically. Just
yeah.
meeting that condition and doing it, but just the stealing, I think you get too much value.
No, for sure. I can understand that. That's fair. Now we have seen some fall in deck popularities, and for good reason, obviously. Uh, I think the first one that comes to mind for me specifically, because it was a deck that I was playing almost exclusively up until the patch, was Lux Karma.
Yeah.
It got a lot slower, and I feel like now that it has both its champions sharing the same mana curve, it becomes really really hard. Even though Karma really wasn't played on turn 6 like that, Karma still contributes to the draw engine. Um, it is one of the main parts of the draw engine because it actually nets you the most value. Um, but now that you have two champions that kind of take the same mana curve, it kind of does mess up with that mana curve. And there's now not as much popularity of that deck because of that. So we've seen that kind of fall. I think Weimerdinger. I don't know. I feel like that deck got a little bit worse post patch, but that's only my opinion. I don't really play the deck that much. So, but Weimerdinger's always been the same thing though, because it's kind of like you either draw your
I don't think it's gone
Heimerdinger
anywhere.
Yeah,
or you don't.
but
I
at the
think with
same
the with
time, that's like it did get a little buff. Like the deep meditation, going to 3, like doing exactly what you want to do every single time is just
mm,
spam out a bunch of 3s. It just adds to that. Like I think that's a little bit of a buff.
That's
no,
why I
I
think it's
The
gone
nerf,
anywhere.
you know what hurts worse is the nerf divide. That's the problem. Like that's what
no,
hurts.
yeah, for sure. I think as far as what the deck does, it's in the same spot for sure. The reason I think it may have dropped a little bit in value is only because of the decks that have come into the forefront as better decks. You know what I mean? I think as a control deck, it kind of I don't know. I feel like it struggles against some of the things. I feel like Lux Mage Seekers has a good matchup against it, to be honest. Um, as far as I've played it, I mean, because the only thing is, like I said, Heimerdinger is still the same thing. It just comes down to, if you have your Heimerdinger by turn 5 and you play that on curve safely, then you're going to stabilize very well. If you don't, your deck plays 100% differently, and it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
So I don't
So
know. That's why.
I do. I don't know. I would say that Weimer's kind of in the same spot. Like I don't think there's much more played or much less played. It's always like it always targets that specific guy that likes to play just like that. Like it is a combo deck, but it's a combo deck and you're looking for one combo compared to other combo decks that have multiple combos.
Right.
So
That's
I
fair.
do think so I do think that if you were a person that liked to play Weimer, you're still a person that likes to play Weimer. Like you see Meta World Gaming, they're pushing top 10 with it. They'll sit there and stream and have 2 to 3 people watching every single game and talking out every single play, and they only play Weiheimer.
Yeah. It's and
You gotta
it's no
respect
different.
it.
It's yeah. I don't. It's not that I don't respect it. I just
No, I respect it. I'm just saying, like, there's just those are the people that like to play that, so they're gonna continue playing it.
for
I don't
sure.
think I don't think there's a big like up or down because like it's super broken. It's just whoever likes to play it likes to play it.
All right, that's fair. I mean, okay, maybe the popularity may not have changed. I just think it may have still. I think the value of the deck. I think the its place in the meta is tanked. I don't think it's as strong as it was post or pre-patch.
I don't know about that because that's the thing. I don't know about that because we do have Burn. Burn was the reason it wasn't played a lot, and now we still have the team of Burn. It still hurts. Like
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's
It's
it's a
just
I don't
it's
lot.
see it as
different.
much, nearly.
I don't see. I haven't run into as much Heimerdinger as I used to before. It could be a shift. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of cool stuff out there right now too, and I know a lot of people do like to switch up their play styles. Sejuani Vlad, for example, has obviously
Oh
become probably
yes, that
popular.
deck's
That
fun.
deck became popular almost overnight, and for good reason. I mean, Vlad got an amazing buff and a better buff than what we expected for him to get. You know what I'm saying? We thought he was going to get something completely different, and he ended up getting something that made him almost kind of broken. So, you know,
I don't
I
know if I
wouldn't
agree
say
that he's
broken.
broken
all
Yeah,
right,
though. I don't
maybe
even
not
think he's
broken,
super
but
strong. I just think
I
he's
don't. Yeah, I
playable
don't.
now.
To be
it
honest,
may
I don't think
Because
that
Swain
mechanic that he
Sejuani's
got.
still better.
Yeah.
Swain's better. I think the Sejuani Swain is 100% better because it has I feel that deck has really good consistency when it comes to dealing damage to the Nexus. And I think that's the thing. And it's when you're able to level your Sejuani, that's really what they want to do. That's the difference maker in all the matchups.
Hmm.
Vlad was to help them stabilize and stay alive. Swain, it's all
Swain
about
is
the
putting the
Sejuani.
pressure on.
Yeah, Sejuani. Yeah, Swain puts pressure, but Sejuani is that's that girl. She's the one that makes the difference in the matchup. If you're able
Yeah,
to drop her,
it makes Sejuani more consistent, and it puts pressure on those constant pings on you. You can't take that lightly. Like those hurt. Like with
not to
City
mention
Breakers,
Leviathan is probably
Leviathan.
one of the best closers for that deck. And Vladimir
100%. As soon
and
as you get
the
a Leviathan and drop that Swain afterwards, you're in a very good commanding seat.
yeah, Sejuani Swain's it's got a better end game. Like Sejuani Vladimir kind of like I feel like it loses its steam pretty quickly, depending on the variant you play. Because I've seen two different variants. I've seen the low to the ground, like super heavy crimson, the crimson creatures, versus like the kind of mid range kind of version where they're playing like Trifarian Assessor, and they're playing some of the bigger cost cards to draw more cards off the Assessor. So depending on which version you're playing, I've seen both. I think that the crimson ones kind of it loses gas quickly, but it also I've seen that deck kill by turn 4, turn 5.
Yeah,
So
I definitely agree. I like the Swain Sejuani more. I think it's more consistent. I think it's nice because you can use the I don't recall the guy's name. The 3-mana 3/3, the crimson one that you get a crimson card when he survives.
yeah, the curator, the crimson
Curator.
curator,
Yeah, so I think Curator is very good. That
he's
just
strong.
yeah, it keeps so much in your hand. Yeah, it does. You can do that in Vlad, yes, but just I don't know. I just like the consistency of the Swain pinging the damage every turn.
Yeah, because once you're able to ping, if you're able to ping the Nexus, I mean, I've seen the deck just have consistent answers to do within the first 5 rounds, ping it, and then by turn 6, Sejuani's already leveled. It's good at what it does. It's really good at what it does. It was in
100%.
Ozzy's rotation for his the DOR tournament. So for good reason. It's better. It is just better at what it wants to do for Noxus. So I like it. I like it a lot. I've seen a lot more scouts too. I don't know if you guys seen more scouts. I've seen a lot more scouts on
Oh,
Vladimir.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
scouts all over.
I mean, the aggro decks I think have stayed strong. Bannerman, Demacias just stays consistent. You know what I'm saying? They hit the Grizzled Ranger, they hit the Badger Bear, but you know, it's just Bannerman just stays consistent. Anything
Yeah,
with Demacia right now is just
I think the Grizzle Ranger and the Badger Bear nerf ended up hitting the Lux Karma deck the most actually, because
yeah,
that
because
kind of
that
got
was
it got hit by everything. It got hit by the Badger Bear. It got hit by the other bear. It got hit
it
by
was.
the deep med. The
I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. That deck got hurt the most because if you think about it, it was 12 cards in that deck that basically got hit. It was they played 3 Badger Bear, they played 3 Grizzled Ranger, they played 3 Karma, and they played 3 Deep Meditation, and all of them got nerfed.
Yeah.
And that's 12 cards in their deck out of 40. It was probably the hugest hit to Lux Karma. I know BBG's still playing it. I've seen him still play it. I do like his new list where he's been playing a little bit different, but it's just it's slower. It's slower, and I think the main issue comes from Deep Meditation they can get over. Loyal Badger they can get over that. Grizzled Ranger, it was a fair nerf, and the card is still as valuable as ever, so that wasn't as bad. But it's the Karma, and the Karma was what made that deck kind of just it made it a turn slower when it was already a slower control deck. It didn't really do anything until turn 3 necessarily, and so I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe I heard him talking about switching Lux Karma to a little bit more of a faster pace deck, make it more mid range with like the flight feet, the eagle, the tracker,
and the
with
Bright
with
Steel.
and into the bright steel to give him turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3 plays.
I think that's definitely like the best Demacia like little like small package, like turn 1, 2 like value trades. That Flight Fleet Tracker and Bright Steel, that package is so nice.
It's good. The Lux Mage Seekers plays that package, and it's very strong. It gives you just a nice 1-2 punch, and there's really nothing that can be done about it.
Yeah.
And even if there's are things to get rid of the barrier, like it's almost effectively a wasted a card to get rid of a barrier. So it's a lot of value for a 1-2 buckle my shoe, but it's really good. So we've seen a nice little pattern. I like where the meta's at though. I really do like where the meta's at.
Yeah, I do. I 100%. I like where the meta's at. There are annoyances, but that's always gonna be in every meta. Like
Yeah, for sure.
there's no
right now.
there's no perfect card. Like okay, the perfect card game.
Nancy.
This is definitely one of the best, like the most perfect card game that we've seen so far.
Yeah, so far so good.
In my
Like everything's
personal
been
opinion, like
consistent.
I see they're just doing everything correct, and they look like they're continuous. Like Riot just wants to continue doing everything correct. Listen to the community, everything. Like it's flawless. Um, there are annoyance though, but that's just because you're never gonna have one deck that has good matchups overall. You're never gonna have one deck that always kills. Like you can't get away from that. Like that's how good and balanced this card game is though, because we do see all these decks in this meta. So it is a very diverse meta. There are annoyance. I think the Teemo Sejuani is super annoying. I still don't want to see that Teemo burn. There's this annoying deck. I don't know if you played against it yet, but there's this annoying deck going around where it plays Noxus and Ionia. It doesn't play champions. Some people play like a Katarina or two, but what the deck does is you go um the Disciple, Crimson Disciple, and you use Demolitionist, and you just spam those. It plays Return and Recall. It plays
Sounds cancer.
it's cancer. It plays that elusive 2/2, that the 2-drop that you have to bounce something to bring it in. So you just continuously reset the Demolicious. You keep getting them back to hand so they can continue hitting the Crimson Disciple, and they just try to burn you, like spam burn you. Like they'll even do plays where they return anything, and then they play the 1 mana and bring out the monk, put the whole board back in their hand, so now they can play it again and continuously burn you. It's an annoying deck. I've only played against it twice, but I can't stand that. That's definitely an annoyance. Like there's so many people are into burn now. Noxus is just continuously burning you with anything that they play.
Yeah, like Noxus has definitely become a very strong faction post patch.
And I feel like it came overnight, like out of nowhere. Like Noxus is
But
just
see,
huge.
even that I feel like is a healthy kind of burn. That's a
No,
creative,
it's
use
100%
all the
healthy.
free
I
calls.
would
Yeah,
definitely like that over the Champless burn that we had. If
correct.
it's burn like over time burn, and I have a little bit of time to like try to do something, I think that's more healthy. Like I do like how, like I said, I like it, but it's just my personal nuisance. I don't want to play against it. I like it. I like where it's keeping the meta and everything. I just don't want to play against that because that's my personal preference not to play. I don't know.
I see. That's how I feel about the Swain Sejuani deck.
Yeah,
I
I do like
understand.
where the meta's at. I think everything is very, very well balanced at the moment. There are a few things, and that's why they're on watch list. Like we're not gonna go back into that. They're on the watch list, we know. But there are annoyances. Do you guys see any decks that you just every time you see that deck you just don't want to play?
Um, Not at the moment, actually. No, I don't think there's a deck out there right now that I just kind of.
You don't queue up
I
into
s-
a deck and just not want to try.
Swain Sejuani or Bannerman probably, but it depends on what
I'm not gonna lie. Bannerman has become a little annoying for me. But my reason is only because like, I think it was like literally yesterday. I played it like 10 times in a row, and I was like, dude, like, are you like, is this literally the ladder right now? Is everybody just on like
No,
Bannerman?
but you know what's crazy about
Like,
that deck? You know what? Going turn 1, if they have attack on the second turn, going turn 1 the tracker, turn 2 into war chefs, that is so scary.
it is.
I
Warships is
don't
really
care
good.
what deck you're playing, that is a
My
scary
problem
start.
is my problem with some of the cards in the meta is honestly just the statistics. I don't think it really has anything to do with effects. I just feel like okay, like for example, like Warship's a perfect example of this because it's like why is he a 2/2/3 if he's pumping another thing? Why am I having a
It's just
difficulty
so much
killing the thing that's
value.
like why am I having a difficulty killing the thing that's pumping? You know what I'm saying? Like it's you know what I'm saying? And on top of that, like the 1-2 combo right now is a thing that has challenger. So you know, that's my only thing. It's the same thing with Crimson Disciple. It's like, okay, I get it. I'm not saying she's, you know, you don't need to change her effect at all. I like her effect, but
Yep.
why does she have 3 health? She's a 2-drop. Why are you giving them consist? You know what I'm saying? It's too much. It's
Yeah,
just too much.
I do agree. The war chiefs do like it is a kind of annoying. You do have to block into that with a 3 attacker just to kill it. but whatever he's pumping is gonna be like. There's just so much value trading. Like that deck is just all about board control, all about those value trades, and
Yeah,
Demacia
and
does it better than anyone. It's just if
yeah,
it
I mean,
curves you, it curves you. You know, like
Demacia is that faction. It has the best followers. It has the best creatures. It has that consistency with them, and that's why they're gonna continue on that wave. They're gonna stay consistent. It's to me, it's always been the best faction. It has the best followers. So but that's just my opinion. I think Sea Monsters made a little bit of a jump too. I think Sea Monsters got a little bit better because now there's not as they don't have to worry about uh, some of these faster decks that were in the meta before. And I feel like they kind of stabilized a little bit better. And I also, in my opinion, I think Karina Control did get a little bit better because now I know that because of the Fizz deck, Ionia, it was like the one counter to the Ionia decks. And I know Ionia kind of lost a little bit when Fizz was getting a little popular. It's still obviously like it hasn't lost a lot of popularity, but it's definitely dropped just a little bit because that Fizz spells deck definitely is a direct counter to what Ionia wants to
but
do.
so Karina beats that deck, is what you're saying?
No, I'm thinking Karina's a little bit better because I felt like I don't know. I think Karina again, it's my opinion, but I felt like Karina Control. The reason I didn't like it before was just like because of the Ionia decks and their ability to use how often they use Deny and like the way how often Deny was seen in the meta, and now it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like Deny is obviously losing a little popularity in the card. It's only played as a one of if Ionia does play it. Um, and I think that card I feel makes a whole hell of a difference in the Karina Control matchup because if you're gonna Will of Ionia doesn't do anything, you're putting back in their hand things that they just want to keep doing to you anyways. So I don't know. That's my opinion because that's how I've when I've gone against Karina Control, that's how it's always gone for me. Um, but that's what I think. I think Karina Control is still really really good.
Yeah, 100%. I do still think it's very solid. The only thing I don't know, like it's not that bad. I don't think like the it's amazing against a lot of the meta. Like the Swain Sejuani, I feel like is gonna murder that deck.
Yeah, it's a control deck and anything like Sejuani Swain's too fast for that. They don't see that their finishers are turn 9 on curve like they you know what I mean they're
Yeah,
yeah
I don't
no
know. I do think it's still a
Sejuani
solid deck.
Swain's
I do like if I was gonna play the Karina control, I would probably play the one with the Frenzy Skitterers. I do think
I do
I don't know if you've
Frenzy
seen
Skitter is
those
still a good
lists.
card.
I think those lists are nice that play those.
Yeah, because it's two different modes. It's got that early game spider aggression and then it has that late game Karina to control the
Yeah,
finish as
the
well.
early game
It's
spiders.
strong, yeah.
If you don't have the answer to those early game spiders, that can
That
blast
makes
you
a
out of the
difference.
water. That can be just as much like just as bad as Demacia out curving you. If you don't have the
Yeah,
answers to it, it gets there so quick.
for sure. For sure. I also think the other deck too we haven't even talked about was um the Shadow Isle Ionia decks.
Shadow Isles in Ionia.
I've seen Zed getting splashed with Shadow Isle stuff.
Mm.
I've seen that happen. It's like a Zed elusives kind of deck with Shadow Isle stuff. Um because they use I think it's like Zed Kalista is if I remember correctly because they use it's like that with like Spectral Riders. I know Kalista Hecarim is obviously still doing like I've seen that a little bit more recently too because that's the card that creates the 3 Spectral Riders. They use that combo to level up Kalista like
Yeah.
instantly, and it's very strong. And then they have Rekindlers in their deck to kind of bring back their Kalistas and just overload. And then I think they also use the Heroine as as another late game finisher for games that take too long. Um, I've seen that deck, and that deck actually did blow me out of the water too. It was it
Yeah,
had
you're
it
talking
you
about the
know
Hecarim one.
yeah it was Hecarim Kalista.
Yeah,
The
those mid ranges. I do see you do see Zekarim I am so sorry. You do see Zekarim, Zed and Hecarim. That's what I'm trying to say. You do
yeah the
see that
Hecarim
combo
Zed.
as well. That's a very good mid range combo.
Yeah, it's good. That's more mid range. I've seen, like I said, it's just there's all different types of versions. Like those 3 champions have all compared to like they all work together, and I've seen so many different versions of those 3 champions in some combination. So those have also been kind of good. Um, yeah, like I said, I think we the meta it stayed good. It it's it's like you said last week. You said that how uh Riot has in League of Legends, they've kind of taken their meta games and flipped them on their head, and I think they did something similar to that here. We've seen some of the same stuff from pre-patch, but things have gotten different. People have changed up their lists. We've seen different options. We've seen different things, and I like that. I think that's really cool how people have adapted to it. So the meta for me, it stayed in a healthy. So I don't think there's anything that's really you know super hated right now. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Nothing,
Yeah.
at least for me personally, that I definitely think is needs to be super nerfed right now.
Okay, so my question to both of you: do you think post patch, so 1.2, do you think the nerfs on burn were enough?
Um, yes. I mean, PNZ burn, like the Champless burn is obviously it's just not a thing. That version is not a thing anymore, and that's what we needed to get to go
It
away.
is a thing. They play Teemo now.
But it's not Champless burn. The Teemo is still a thing, but at the same
Yeah,
time
but
too,
they
like
literally they took out. That's the thing. Like that deck, it feels like it didn't go
I
anywhere.
I mean I
Their rear
haven't run
guard's
into
gone, but they have Teemo now.
I mean I haven't run into it. I haven't run into it, but like I said, but the Champless version, obviously it can't run without Teemo, but at the same time too, like the thing is too is that Teemo. I mean I don't know. I get it. It is still good because of Teemo, but at the same time too, I don't. That deck is. I haven't run into an issue with it yet, so I can't say that I feel that it's not enough. The one thing I do think though is just Crimson Disciple. That's the only card that was ever in that list that I think still needed to be hit, but um, she just has too much health. She just has too much health. That's
I
the
do
only
agree.
thing. But so
So what do you think,
Yeah,
Josh? What is your?
I don't see it enough. I don't see burn enough on the ladder. I mean, I haven't been playing as much since the patch dropped, um, but I don't think that it's popular enough for me to say that it still needs to be hit more. I think that it's still very strong. Like the few times that I think I maybe have played against her, I see the Teemo version. Obviously, the cards still synergize really well, which is cool, I guess. But I'm just glad that it's no longer like 50% of the game is played or just people using burn to try and climb. I'm seeing a lot more like variation decks. So I think it's healthy. I think it was a good enough change, at least to shift the meta.
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree with that. I
yeah.
can get down with that. I do think it was a good enough change. Exactly. Um, I yeah, the Crimson Disciple. That's the only thing I would say. I don't like that card. like it. It's not that it's
I
not
get
a
it.
healthy card. I just think it's a strong card.
Okay, what do you guys think about for a change for it, making it only do one damage to the Nexus?
That could be good too.
That
Like
that could be
you
fine.
can say a 2/3 if you're only doing one.
Right.
Yeah, that would be fine. But like I said, I'm not against her effect at all. I don't think her. The two is fine. I just don't like the fact that how consistent it is. You can get it off because she has that extra one health just keeps her out of range of a lot of things, and I think it's stupid. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't you shouldn't be able to not be able to respond to a Crimson Disciple on turn two with a Mystic Shot. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that kind of like that's where I'm like, all right, that's I don't know if I like that. So, but at
Right,
the
but
same
now,
time too,
but if it only does one damage now, in order for him to get the same amount of damage off, he pings it once and then you Mystic Shot it and it's gone.
Yeah, I
yeah,
do think that would be a decent change.
yeah, I think that would be fine. But the beauty of this too is like it's week one of the meta. We still have a lot of time. We still have a lot before the next balance patch. So hopefully things will start forming and things are still shaping, and that's why you know it's all speculation right now. So hopefully things kind of work itself out. I don't expect Burm to become as popular. I think it's going to lose popularity as the weeks go on because while people do sound kind of like that, I do think there are better ways to go about the burn effect. There are better decks out there that do the burn now a little bit better, and maybe it doesn't kill you by turn four, but you still can still win by turn seven, eight, or nine, and it's still it's still really good. It's still earlier than turn 10, and that's still fast enough to me.
Yeah, and I do think the other reason why like the nerfs were good enough is because it's not gonna be played as much. It's one of those everyone if you're new, it's super cheap. You want to and having the okay, if I'm gonna win by turn 5 or lose by turn 5, like I can surrender. Like you get so many games in, and it had such a good curve and everything
Yeah,
beforehand.
I will never deny it. It's the best deck to grind the ladder with because these games can take a long time. It takes a while to get up there. So for
Yeah,
sure,
so
I can get behind that.
I do see since those got nerfed, like it's still gonna make people hesitant because the win rate went down 100%. It's not as strong as it was. So that could be just like the little teeniest part of bringing it back, like slowing down them and people not wanting to go towards that anymore.
For sure. For sure. Okay, so I think we can all agree the meta, like I said, the meta has stayed really healthy. We'll see what happens the next thing. I do think as Karma, we haven't seen it yet, but it will be. I think it'll be back to former glory eventually. So just keep your eyes peeled for that. That I think is one deck to watch out for in the upcoming weeks, especially if you're going to tournament. It could be a deck that pops up, at the top of the chain because it's now with Burn kind of being a little bit on the wayside and not being as consistent as it once was. It may, but other than that, I think the meta has stabilized to something super healthy. So I'm really happy about that. But moving on to the next topic too, we do have a lot of things to talk about as far as the future of the game. And if you're not on Twitter or if you haven't seen it yet, I do recommend you do follow Legends of Runeterra on Twitter if you can, because they do post a lot of consistent updates and everything you want to know about what's going on in the game, it's on there. I promise. They released a video a couple days ago. I don't remember the exact day.
It was
But
Friday.
so on Friday they released a video. It was about 6 minutes. Bunch of information in the 6 minutes. We're about to go over all this right now. The first thing is the gauntlets. The first one is supposed to happen this month in June. How do you guys feel about the gauntlets? It says the first one is supposed to utilize, I believe, regular deck building strategies. It's all just what we already know and how we already play the game. But the second one is supposed to be something similar to Expedition, where you can build your deck and use only one ofs. So how did you guys feel about the gauntlets? What are your guys speculations on that?
So I think that they sound cool. It reminds me of Tavern Brawl from Hearthstone,
Oh
where it
yes,
seems like
hundred
they're going to
percent.
be like
Yeah.
there's going to be different versions, and it's always going to kind of be something quirky and building, or they'll pre-build for you, and you have to pick something. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a good addition to the game. It's a logical next step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
What
just
about you?
so you don't make the game stale. Um, it is kind of cool because of what they're gonna be doing with it. Like, I know in Hearthstone, I'm pretty sure that's what one of the gauntlets is. Like, I'm not sure if I'm like not
The
remembering correctly, but no, Hearthstone they have those like big trials like that where you make your deck and you have to win X amount of games with your deck and you get the max reward. Like
right.
you just go through a gauntlet with your one deck and you play against everything that everyone made. And it
Yeah.
was just that was a very hard thing to get through. It was kind of like a gauntlet like this. It was very hard to get through, but the rewards were amazing.
Okay. I didn't play Hearthstone, so I don't really know, but I mean, it sounds really awesome. I think the second one is gonna be the most interesting. I mean, I like how they're going to change up the rules, but it's always the same question: can you get to 7 wins? And if you do, you're going to be paid very handsomely in rewards for that. So I do like that. I think that's really cool. They're keeping the game fresh, and I think that's something everybody can be excited about because if you're someone who just maybe you get tired of the same old thing. Maybe the ladder does get a little stale sometimes. Maybe you're not in the mood to grind the ladder, and better, or maybe you're not in the mood to just play regular games. And it gives you another way that you can get into something with this, and even put your deck building skills to the test, essentially, because it's all about you literally build from scratch, get into your 7 games, and you have to win 7. Um, so I'm excited for it. I'm not sure they haven't given an official date, I don't think, but we do know it is this month in June, and the second one should be in July. So it's
Yeah.
supposed to be I think it's supposed to be every month is what they I think indicated. So exciting, and I'm happy for it, and I'm excited to see how this goes. They also talked about labs. This one they didn't give too much information. Probably on purpose. They probably haven't developed it fully because that one's set to release in July. and that's all we kind of know about it. I know it has something to do with. They made a lot of references to Heimerdinger. I don't know what he has to do in with this, but the labs.
I think the labs is more of the tavern brawl, like the craziness they put in, just a bunch of crazy different things every week, or I don't know if they're gonna do every week, every month, whatever. But I do think the labs is gonna be very similar to the tavern brawl that we have with Hearthstone, where it's
Okay.
just like every week, because how Hearthstone does it, every single week, you have some really wonky rules that you have to go by when you play the game, like you only play one drops in your deck, or you only do this, or you only do that, and there's just always these wonky things, but like they can be very fun. You can have um there's one, I remember one when I used to play, there was this card, I can't remember the name exactly, it was the portal card, it was a 2-drop, and what it does is when you play the unstable portal, when you play it, you find any card in the game, and you put like any creature in the game, put it to your hand, and it costs one less. So there was a tavern brawl where your entire deck was just those. It was just you were just making random creatures in your hand every single turn, and then playing another portal to get something else, or doing this and that. I thought that was a
I
very
remember that
fun.
one.
Yeah, you remember that? It was fun. It was different, but they do crazy wonky rules, and I think that's what the labs are going to be doing, and I do like that because that is something that you can do just to have a little bit of fun here and there. That's not always like melting your brain, because this game, there is a lot of interactions in the game. You can
Yeah.
do one little misstep and you ruin an entire play. So it is nice to have like more of a, I wouldn't say backseat, but just something that you could just cruise and play and
Yeah.
all that.
Just
more casual. That's different.
Yeah, something that changes it up.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, that sounds really good. I mean, they haven't given us too much yet, so I'm excited to hear more about that. Speaking of July too, when labs do release, we also are getting our first Legend of Runeterra event. Um, from what they've explained, this is basically exclusive rewards with. I mean, they're going to be releasing an event pass that you can get. You can purchase it in the store, so it does cost money, and you will be able to get even more rewards on this. And they explained how basically these events are going to be able to help you get guardians, more of the cosmetic stuff. Which for me personally, that's exciting for me because I'm all about cosmetic. I'm an aesthetic person.
Oh
I like,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying. I like looking cute all the time. So
You got to be
yeah,
flexing on them.
you know what I'm saying. I gotta be. I love to flex. I can't deny it. So that's exciting for me because this is all what we wanted to see. You know what I'm saying? If you think about it, with what they have out right now, it's like what? It's like almost. It's probably about $100 to get everything, I believe. Like to
I
get all the
mean, I think it's
guardians.
at, yeah, the Guardians, they're about like $5 or $6, but $10 on boards.
Yeah,
It's nice.
it's
I do think the first event that's coming out is going to be Pool Party, because that is an event in League. Pool Party is an event in League where they just come up with like a bunch of like random champion skins with them and doing pool shit. Like they're at the pool chilling, like lifeguard and all
Swim
that
trunks
crazy shit.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, swim trunks. They got the lotion and shit. But that is going to be the next event for League. So I'm assuming that they're going to correspond the event with this. And if we get like a pool party board, that would be pretty lit. Like they have a diving board on it and shit. I do think that would be really cool if that would be an event. I'm crossing my fingers. I want that to be an event now that I'm talking about it more and more. I do think that would be nice.
that would be cool. That would be
I
really
think it would
cool.
be lit, dude. If you look, like, just go back to, we'll do this after, but I'll show you like the pool party skins, and like it's a
No,
cool thing. I do think that's gonna be the first event, and I'm very excited for that because I fuck with pool party hard.
yeah, I like that too. I think that's really cool. It's exciting. It made what I'm saying. They're giving you incentives to play the game. I think that's the best thing. So you know what I'm saying. If you are a casual player, there's still stuff out there for you. And I think that's what the point of most of this was too. Um, and I like that. And it's really they made it very clear. It's literally just rewards for just by playing the game, whether it's pubs, whether it's expedition, whether it's anything. As long as you're playing the game, you're going to get rewarded with these cosmetics, with these aesthetics. Um,
Yeah,
and I
and
think and I that's really cool. I like that. That's enough for me to continue on playing even when I'm having a bad day on ranked and I went over 5 or something and didn't want to play anymore. You know what I'm saying? Those days happen, and then they're still giving you incentives for even when when stuff gets rough.
Yeah, and I do think that it's nice. It's I'm having a brain fart with this right now.
The
Pass.
cosmetics are lit.
Yeah,
It's
cosmetics are
lit.
just lit. They are lit, 100%. That's it.
It's fine.
That was my thought. You got it.
It's all good. Now the other thing that they did mention, one of the final things they mentioned was talking about card releases, and I know a lot of people obviously always want to know about that. Well, basically, the timeline is going to go uh, a set release. They're going to give us new cards every 2 months, and new regions will be introduced every 6 months. Um, so I believe right now the next region we're getting is in August. We'll have 2 new patches after that for the next 2 months after that for new cards, and then in February we'll see the next region, and then I believe in August again. So I think it's every February and August we'll be seeing
The
uh,
regions.
new regions, and I like this. I mean, as long as there's a consistent schedule, I don't have any complaints about that. Obviously, um, and we were talking about this the other day, Justin, or I think it was maybe last night. Um, but we were talking about because in the next set it's Targon. We were talking about the champions that are going to be released. There was 2 that weren't coming in. It was was it Aphelios and who else?
Pantheon.
And Pantheon. And the way that they showed the chart made me believe, okay, maybe they're going to give us all the Targon champions, and then with each new card, maybe they'll give us one additional champion in that new set, and then that would end up giving us all the Targon champions without them having to go back into Targon or anything. That's what
Yeah.
I expected. Um, we have no information as to what they're going to do. We just know that all we know is that Pantheon and Aphelios just isn't involved in Targon in
Yeah, and
August.
this is all still speculation. We're not guaranteed Targon, but it is data mined. There's voice packs for all, like Riven's coming in Noxus. Like there's voice packs and all that's been posted for months. So it's been in the files. But what they could do, they could totally 180 us. Um so Bilgewater was already in the files as well, and the reason why I think Targon's going to be the next region is because it lines up exactly with what they were saying. Like they were saying, "Oh, Bilgewater's coming with X, Y, and Z champions," and that's exactly what happened. So I do think that Targon's going to be our next region. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows that if you're listening, this is just speculation. It's not guaranteed, but I do believe that is going to be it because it's been consistent. Like the people that how they said it was going to be.
Good clarification.
For sure, for sure, for sure. I apologize. I should have been more specific on that. But at the same time, too, I mean, for me, I've learned to trust data miners more than I haven't. But again, it is still speculation. But it would be cool, like I said. I think the way they're going to release cards, and they're going to keep fresh content, and they're going to
Yeah.
keep us on our toes at all times. There's never going to be, oh, I'm stuck in this meta for the next couple months, or I'm stuck with these cards for the next couple months, and it would never get to that point where you feel like you have to wait an over accentuated long time for for things to get better for you if you're struggling in any current meta. And I think that's really good. I think that gives the players more reasons to be sharp. It gives them better incentive to think outside the box with these things, and it creates a whole mess of versatility, um, or diversity. I'm sorry,
The
uh,
versatility.
diversity.
No, that's a good word.
Not
I like
even
it.
diversity in the meta, and you can say anything, but diversity in meta, it's healthy, and I love it. So
100%. To touch on that though, I did see a Reddit post, and it was I don't know who he is exactly. I'm assuming he works with the patch notes, and I did see a few Reddit posts back and forth, and what they were saying is he was thinking, okay, we're gonna do like once a month patch notes for balances, but like if that is too much, like if you need every 2 weeks for a balance patch, he'll do it on the adjust. Like he'll adjust it on the fly. He'll listen to the community, see what happens, so nothing ever stays stale. And I did read that recently. I think that is very good. I think that is something that Riot is doing better than a lot of other games. they're listening to their community and they're willing to adapt their entire game plan based on what you want.
For sure, for sure. That's cool. That's awesome, actually, to be honest. But at the same, the other thing too, um, they could. I mean, like I said, this is all still speculation, so there is no obviously finite say. But I do think there could be something like Justin said. I do think they could go that route, and that would be perfectly fine with that. I wouldn't have any complaints on that end. Um, but I do have an interesting question that I just thought of. Um, is there any? Let's say we do get Targon again, speculation. But let's say we do get Targon. Is there one champion? Name one champion in that faction that you guys would like to see the most out of any of the ones that exist, and who do you think? Name a champion in the current game right now that you think they would pair with. And I know what Justin's answer is going to be, which is why I'm asking the question. But I also want to hear Justin, or I want to hear Nova's answer. So go
All
ahead.
right. So we all know it's gonna be your girl Leona paired with Yasuo. I just think there's gonna be way too many stuns. Leona's kit in League of Legends has so much crowd control. I think that her supporting cast is just gonna be a lot of crowd control. I think it's too good. I think that's gonna be a match made in heaven. I think those decks are gonna do very well. I don't even know what Targon cards do. I just know that Leona's done, so we'll see.
That's fair. What about you?
So I pretty much agree with Justin. Leona is kind of the one I would expect to want the most. If it was just for sake of having a different answer, I think Pantheon would probably be my next most wanted to see champion. How they work him in, I want to see how they his ability in League is very unique. So I'm curious to see how they translate that into the game. Um, and I also think that he would probably pair well with Yasuo because he's got some stun mechanic in the game. But I could also see him pairing really well with like Shen with Barrier, depending on what they go with. If they kind of use his ultimate in some way, or we'll see. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how they incorporate a lot of different champions. So
Yeah. I also,
Okay.
now that I'm thinking about it, I do have another answer as well. I do think Aurelion Soul is going to be interesting. Because what Aurelion Soul does in League, he has a passive damage going around. Are they going to implement that into his kit? I know there was like data mine of a lot of the constellations. So I'm wondering what that does. There's a lot of constellations and that's a lot of different options. It sounds like a lot of versatility. I think it would pair really well with Karma. Like Aurelion Soul Karma, I think that's going to be like a really big control deck just by knowing what the Aurelion Soul does in League.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm not. I mean, I'm not the obvious. I'm obviously the odd guy out because I don't play League of Legends. But I did the other day. I was looking up this because we were talking about Targon. To be honest, Justin pointed out something to me, so I do think this would be kind of cool. Was Aphelios coming into the game because from what he explained to me, Aphelios uses the 5 different guns. And he was speculating maybe there could be something where they could implement like a Twisted Fate kind of effect where he has an on play 5 different effects or something like that, or you know what I'm saying, where his level up he gets all those triggers, which would be really cool to see another kind of Twisted Fate kind of card because Twisted Fate's really good. Obviously, he's an amazing card. So to see something like Aphelios come into play and do something similar to that, that would be pretty cool. That would be really really cool. So, but okay, so we've talked a little bit about some of the new sets. There hasn't been a lot of other information released besides this. It was a small clip. They did mention that there will be an update to the Master Rank LP. Again, no other prior information, but that will be coming. There will be an update to that. There's also going to be deck builder improvements. There's supposed to be an in-game leaderboard coming, which sounds really fascinating. And there's also supposed to be spectator support.
Yes. That's what I think that's the biggest thing that we've been missing. That leaderboard sounds very intriguing. Like that would be actually really cool to just see it in game because League of Legends does have that as well. Like if you go in, you see Challenger, you can see all of them, how much LP they have. Like it has those statistics in game. But I do think that it's going to be very, very interesting with the last point,
The spectator support.
the spectator. Yeah, because the problem right now is if we do like big tournaments, right? We're doing these tournaments, you have one of the like both, preferably both people, so you have both point of views, but one of them has to be streaming, and the casters have to stream their stream to watch. They only get the one point of view, and they're sitting there like you see the person streaming, you see their camera, like it makes it look, it doesn't look as nice. I think having the spectator for tournament purposes is going to be very nice.
Yeah, I agree with that. Spectator support is always a thing. Like it's in every major game out
Because
there
if you,
right now. Like it's the number one thing. It's what drives esports as a whole, anyways, because it's how you get your. It's for tournament purposes specifically, and they made it very clear that they were trying. They want something for everybody. You know what I'm saying? They're all for the whole mass of people that play the game. So there's going to be something for your casuals, and they definitely have to do something for the competitive scene because the competitive scene obviously is what drives a lot of their sales. So
yeah,
um,
I do think the spectator support is good for casuals too. Because there's times you get on the game, you don't really want to play or whatever. You just want to like see what people are up to. You could just click on them, spectate them, watch their game, be in their game without having to even be talking to them. You could just watch, and sometimes
that
that
would
is
be cool.
nice.
That would be nice.
You could
Yeah,
just see how your boy's ladder is going, and you can see their grind. You can see this, you can see that, and that's just something. It's casual, but I personally I'm looking towards the tournament aspect of it. But as a casual as well, like I think I will use it. I think I'll jump in a game, like
for sure.
not jump into the game, but I'll just spectate somebody, watch them, see how their climb is going, etc., etc. I think that's a support that we should have already had, but I do like that it's coming.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Did you have any thoughts on that, Josh, or did you have anything else you wanted to add to this?
No, I think you guys covered it pretty much. I agree that spectator is going to be really awesome. It'll help for the tournaments. I want to be able to look at my friends play, or not have to be in Discord or some other way to coach each other. Just be able to spectate live. I think they're doing everything right. There's not much else to say. We'll see as it comes out. It's
Yeah,
still
exactly.
just starting to roll out, but yeah, I'm curious to see where they take it.
For sure. For sure. I mean, that video was really cool. They gave us a lot of good information. We have a couple things coming this month. We have a couple things coming with the next month. And then after that, August will be here, and we will have the next faction with us. So, as more information gets released, obviously we'll be able to talk more about this in detail. But for the most part, this is kind of what they gave us, and I'm really excited for what the future is with this game, and um, there's a lot of upside here. So, I'm happy with it. I think there's something for everybody. So, uh, it's a good place for this game right now, and it's just the beginning. It's just the
Yep.
beginning.
I
That
think Riot is the perfect company to have a card game.
I'm starting to back that statement up. It's very. They have shown me nothing but consistency. They have shown me, so shout outs to Riot yet again. They've done a very good job. And I'm excited. I'm excited. So, okay. That about wraps it up for us today. We'd like to thank everybody who tuned in with us, and as always, you can send us any feedback or comments to us, as it's always appreciated. The next podcast, I believe, will be scheduled for next Tuesday, which is June 9th, if I'm correct. As always, if you want to follow us on social media to keep up to date with when we'll be posting, or have other people to talk to in the community, anything at all, we will leave those in the description below. And this is just the beginning for us too. So we hope to get better with each week and expand into videos and streams. So bear with us as we progress together. Okay. Stay safe out there, everyone, and we will catch you all next time.